Everyone, and welcome to another video. This is going to be my pickups for the first half of February. Not a huge amount here, so hopefully this video isn't too long. Either way, I hope you guys enjoy. On an additional note, I didn't really make any formal announcement about this, but I am actually participating in the February manga challenge, which was started by Yuri in real life to really great YouTubers. I'm sure many of you have probably heard of them now, but I'm not doing videos on them just because I don't really feel the need to, but I have been posting on my Twitter every day the various books I've been reading. So if you are interested, my Twitter, it will be in the description. It's also on my channel page. So yes, aside from that, I'll just get straight into the things that I got for this month so far, and I hope you guys enjoy. So first of all, we have a figure. I'm not really expecting a huge amount of figures in these next coming months, but this one was one that I had pre-ordered a very long time ago, and it is the Nendoroid, the newly released Nendoroid, obviously, of Sugawara Koshi from Haikyuu, who is actually my favorite character of the show. This particular expression I just find adorable, but he does come with a bunch of different faceplates. I'm not going to get those out, but I will get the box out so you have an idea of the sorts of accessories that he comes with. Of course, he does come with a volleyball like majority of these Nendos have been, and he was an Orange Rouge release, so Good Smile and Mega House's like combination company that they've started. I think it's only Good. I can't remember if it's a combination of the two, but it is strictly dedicated to male characters who didn't really get much focus in figures before this. So it's been really good if you're a fan of certain male characters. There's been a lot more male figures coming out. Of course, historically, we've seen female characters get lots and lots of figures and every sort of outfit you could imagine, whereas with male characters, not so much. But this is the 7th Haikyuu Nendo that I own. I believe I have all of them currently out, and I have all of them that are currently on pre-order also on pre-order. So yes, my Haikyuu Nendo collection is slowly but surely growing. And yeah, so that was the one figure that I have gotten so far. And next is the only anime that I have received in this last couple weeks, and that is Parasite Part 2. As you can see, it's in a red case. That's not the case it came in, but I switched them because I think the red case looks better with this particular cover and release and everything else. This show is not that old. It's only a couple years old now at this point. Very well regarded. It is an adaptation of the manga, so it's not 100% to the setting of the series, because with the manga came out in the 80s and 90s, so it is quite dated, whereas this is a modern version of the same events. It's different, but both are very good. I got this particular release actually technically secondhand. I got it from Cash Converters, which is sort of like a pawn shop here in Australia. So I got it for much cheaper than what is retail, but because it's a Blu-ray release, the discs and stuff themselves are in perfect condition. There's no need for me to have to worry about like playback and all that sort of stuff. So yes, this is obviously the later half of the series. I think there's 25 episodes in all. I can't quite remember. And as you can see, not too many special features or anything on this one. But it is definitely a show to check out if you're interested in sort of darker horror, body horror stuff especially. And the series is on Crunchyroll. So yeah, if you don't want to actually spend the money on buying it, it's there to watch on Crunchyroll. And finally is the manga that I got. Not a huge amount, but still a couple volumes here. First of all is volume 4 of Yona of the Dawn. So if you have been following my February manga challenge Twitter updates, I did read this as well as the first 3 volumes for one of the days, so I'm completely caught up with the English releases as of now. And I will be continuing to read the series. It's very, very good. It's the sort of shoujo that you don't necessarily see that much of anymore, especially within the English manga community. It's very reminiscent of something like Fushigi Yugi or the 12 Kingdoms, where it's female-driven, like, historical fantasy, rather than just like a high school romance or anything like that. I know this series got quite popular with the anime. I haven't seen too much of the show, but it was very, very good for what I did see. So I hope to finish the show sometime in the future. When that'll be, I don't know. But the manga, definitely worth the investment if you're into that sort of older fantasy set shoujo. Mizuho Kusanagi has a very well-developed story. She certainly knows what she wants from the series, and it's been really, really fun reading this one. I'm really glad that I have been able to support a series like this, and I look forward to more. Next is a series that I'm sure many of you are familiar with, especially with manga releases coming out every month, but that is Haikyuu Volume 8. As you can see, it's Kageyama on the front here, and this is the end of the match against Aoba Josai. So the end of the first season for those people who watch the show first rather than read the manga. Great. I don't really think I need to convince anyone of this series. It's a very fun series, but it has a really good energy. You really get caught up in the pace with this series, and even if you know what's going to happen, it's still very engaging. The characters are all very, very, very likable, and I look forward to upcoming volumes. I personally have seen all of the anime that has come out, all 3 seasons, but reading the manga, it's just got a lot of character, and not so much, I don't mean that in the sense that it has, a lot of characters, although it does. It just has something very unique about how the characters interact with each other. It's very funny, very likable. All of the characters are very memorable, which is something I have a problem with in certain other sports series. But with this one, regardless of like which team they're on, what how much screen time they've had, especially if they're sort of a major supporting character, they're all very memorable and they all have their own personality. And I particularly enjoy this game in Haikyuu because it is definitely a turning point for a lot of major characters in this series, not only on the Karasuno team, but also in Aoba Josai. And yes, so, yeah, I'm sure many of you are already reading or, collecting this series. It's definitely worth the time to at least check it out. and I don't necessarily think you have to be like a super sports fan or even sports anime fan to enjoy this series. It's comedic, it's very down to earth, and just overall something really fun to get into every month when we get these releases. And I'm glad that Viz has been keeping the releases coming. Basically, I am glad that we're catching up at a steady pace. Next is another Viz manga release. It's the last of the Viz though, and that is My Hero Academia Volume 7. So, if you watch my videos sort of on a regular basis, I'm not a huge, like, I don't collect that many shonen series. Well, I mean, that's a bit of a misnomer because I do actually buy quite a few shonen series, but I'm not super into, like, the Shonen Jump sorts of series that a lot of other people sort of grew up on and have a lot of good memories with. So, I've had some people ask me, like, why I collect My Hero Academia in particular, especially seeing as it's a quote-unquote, like, just pretty straight shonen. It's nothing really new. But, again, this is something like with Haikyuu. The characters are all very likable, even, you know, sort of not so much like they're good people, but they're interesting characters to read about. I think this particular setting of the, you know, superheroes in high school, which isn't the most unique of settings, is done really well in this series, and I think it's in particular with the main character, it's nice to see a series that shows that hard work is rewarded, and because with this particular series, if I'm sorry to spoil sort of a kind of major plot point, but from early on in the series, so I don't know anything about the series past this point because I read it as it comes out in the English volumes. But Deku, our main character, or Midoriya, he is born without a quirk, without a superpower, but he's always wanted to be a hero, and then through meeting his quote-unquote hero, his inspiration, he is bequeathed power rather than being a story of someone who becomes a superhero despite what they lack. It's a story about how hard work and perseverance is rewarded in the end. I think it's a different message than what some people were expecting. So I never had a problem with that aspect of the series. I know some people did. In particular with this volume, it's the end of what is, I assume, a pretty major arc so far in the series. I'm glad with what is sort of developing into another major arc. I've heard people sort of talk about it on Twitter and other places before. I don't know anything about it, but it seems interesting, and that's the biggest thing for me. I'm not always forgiving for a lot of cliches in any sort of demographic, whether that be shonen, shoujo, seinen, or josei. I can be quite harsh if I feel like it's tired and played out and I've seen it done before better. But I think that execution of certain tropes and cliches really, really can boost the story, and in my personal opinion on it. And My Hero Academia is one of those series where it's not really doing anything new, but it's doing it with such earnestness and such heart that you can't not enjoy it, basically. But yes, I'm not going to harp too much on this anymore, but a really good volume. I'm sure if you're picking up this series, you have already got this book. yeah, it's just a lot of fun. It's it's interesting. It's very well developed. It certainly feels like a fully developed world with these superpowers. That it's not just like, okay, there's a school with superheroes, but society is basically the same. It's not really that. It does show how society has adapted to the idea of people having these quirks, which is also something I really appreciate in this sort of setting. And finally, for the manga, this is an older release, an out of print release, technically, and one that I only got yesterday. Some of you may already know what I'm talking about, but that is Volume 15 of Mars, which is the sort of shoujo classic by Fuyumi Soryo. I haven't read any of this series, but this is the final volume. It's the last one I needed. And so now I'm able to actually read this series. I've heard very, 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 very good things about this series from a lot of trusted sources and people whom their opinion I value greatly. I know that it starts pretty cliche and a bit rocky, but develops into one of the best shoujo, at least best classic shoujo, or 90s shoujo, should I say, that we have. It's definitely been a large influence in a lot of pop culture, both within Japan and outside of it. So I'm really eager to actually start this series. I'm looking forward to reading it. And yes, as you can see, it's a Tokyo Pop release, so one of the older ones. This is actually one of the earlier printings. It doesn't have the later large Tokyo Pop like red symbol spine element to it. And this one is another book that I got secondhand. I got it from, I believe, Thrift Books? I don't know. I feel like this one wasn't ex-library, but it was probably in a box of old stock somewhere that nobody had looked at in a decade. So it's in pretty perfect condition. And so, which is more than I can say for some of the volumes from this series that I have. But yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to this one. Like I said, I've heard nothing but good things, but I haven't read any yet, so I can't fully form my own opinion on it yet. All I know is that I've heard good things, and that makes me look forward to it, because I always enjoy reading a good shoujo series. Not everything, like with everything, there's good and bad, and I think some people tend to only know the bad or the popular ones. This one is popular, but it's sort of at an age where not very many people know of it anymore, at least within the general populace of the manga community or manga collectors. With each new generation of fan and collector, sort of beloved series do get left behind, and I feel like Mars is one that's happened to. It definitely still has a huge following, and a lot of people love it, but it's sort of become like a cult series now, rather than something that a lot of people talk about regularly. It's not a series like Fruits Basket, which even when it was out of print, a lot of people just adored and spoke very, very highly of. And I don't know if they ever reprinted this series, that it would have the sort of comeback that Fruits Basket has. But that's just my my personal opinions on it. I don't know either way. But yes, 15 volumes of this. I'm hoping to read it actually for this February manga challenge. Whether I'll be able to read it all in one day, we'll see. I mean, I managed to do it with Jormungand, but Jormungand is a lot of It is a manga of few words, shall I say. So it was quite easy to get through the 11 volumes of that. I haven't, like I said, I haven't read any of this, so I don't know how wordy it is. But I'll try it. And that's been my goal, to try and finish series, or multiple volumes of series in, like, per day. So we'll see how it goes. But that is everything that I got for this month. Not a huge amount, but hopefully still some things that you guys are interested in. Yeah, so As for upcoming things, I, like every video, I have no idea. I've ordered them, I just don't know when they're coming. And I forget pretty much as soon as I've ordered something. And then once it arrives, I'm like, oh yeah, I bought that, didn't I? But thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, I'll put my Twitter in the description below if you're interested in how my February manga challenge is going, or if you just want to talk to me or, you know, follow me on Twitter, that's cool too. I'm always happy to chat with all you lovely people. So yeah, thanks a lot guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye till then.